Welcome to The Freight Break with your host, Dan Lindsey, the podcast that cuts through the noise of the trucking industry. We're talking real conversations, real relationships, and real insight that keep the wheels turning.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Freight Break, the flagship podcast of the Broker Carrier Summit, the BCS Freight Network, and your go-to podcast for navigating the logistics and transportation industries. I am your host, Dan Lindsey, and each week we bring you insights from industry experts to help you win the freight game. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, let's go ahead and kick it over to TIE Software.
Meet TIE Software's workflow automation, built to help LTL and FTL freight brokers boost productivity. Use custom prompts to automate repetitive tasks like status updates, carrier changes, and shipment alerts right in the platform. Manage operations with automated scheduling, carrier management, and real-time updates. Workflow automation removes bottlenecks, freeing you up to grow your business. Best of all, it's easy to set up and use. No coding or tech skills required. Choose your workflows and TIE does the rest. Book a demo today and see how TIE makes efficiency happen.
All right, everyone, welcome to this segment of Breaking It Down. As you know, in this segment, we talk with individuals about different pieces of the logistics industry. We talk with brokers, we talk with carriers, we talk with tech providers and intermediaries of all sorts. And we talk about things that really help companies and individuals navigate the industry well and run a profitable operation. As we are coming up closer and closer to the Broker Carrier Summit, I want to take a little bit of a different turn, pull us back a little bit, and talk about the idea of partnerships and their importance. And to do that, today on Breaking It Down, we have my good friend, Mark Lukenbill from Kansas City. Mark, how are you, my friend?
Dan, I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming so close to the BCS. I know it's Q3, so everyone is trying to gear up for all that is going to be happening the rest of the year. Give everybody an opportunity to get to know you, your experience in the industry. Where do you come from?
Yep. So everybody, Dan, again, thanks for having me on. I'm Mark Lukenbill. Currently, I run commercial operations for MileMaker, which is the commercial mileage engine behind Rand McNally. We do mapping and truck mileage technology. I've been in freight for 2008 after college, but realistically, since I was 7, my uncles were all drivers, so spent my summers in the back of cabs, cruising around lower 48, delivering golf carts everywhere. So that's kind of how I got my two passions in life, which are trucks and golf, man. And I've been in freight tech ever since right out of college, and recently joined MileMaker and Rand McNally to build out a new commercial focus for them, and it's exciting opportunities. And I've met Dan through BCS a couple different times, and I've been really excited to come on the show and talk about partnerships and what we're doing.
Yeah, whenever I think Rand McNally, I remember road trips in the car when I was like 8, and the Rand McNally Atlas was the way in which we did not get lost during family road trips. So
dude, I got like one of the closest threats to getting beat down in the car ride. We found the highlighter in the map when the grandparents were in the gas station and started drawing pictures all over their routes, like little, because that's what they used to do, right? They would highlight where they wanted to turn, stops and everything. And I remember grabbing the marker and just going to town on it, kid in the back seat.
And the Rand McNally Atlas was big enough where they could actually probably beat you with it, and it would hurt.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
So, very cool. Well, tell us about MileMaker, because I know so it's a mileage tool, but tell us about how long it's been in the industry, what it focuses on, and all that.
Yeah, so Rand McNally itself, the company has been around since 1852. We have always had the commercial mileage piece inside Rand McNally. We didn't really do technical deployment of it until we released it in on-prem fashion first, but it was thinking about obviously cars move a lot different than trucks, right? You've got bridge heights and weight restrictions, hazmat restrictions, all of these different things that people don't think about. Just where I'm at in Kansas City to Indianapolis. Indianapolis is a perfect example. They don't allow hazmat through the city, so drivers have to go down and around Indianapolis to get anywhere from north to south. So there are a lot of little unique aspects of that. So when we started doing the cartography and the mapping, We had to take into account that obviously trucks move a lot different than cars. We had to build a completely separate instance for how vehicles moved. Once we got into that, there's not just one type of truck either, right? We've got vans and flats and different sizes and different weights. And so then obviously having to get to that level of granularity has been something we've been building on for multiple decades now. We have just recently in the last 5 years developed an API to where we can build these integrations with multiple different TMSs, procurement softwares, ERPs, operating systems. When somebody thinks about building a route, whether it's a broker, it's a carrier, it's a shipper, pricing is a big part of it, right? Especially per mile pricing. They can't just run off of Google, because the Google mileage versus what an actual truck can do can be two completely different things, which could translate into either a big loss or a big gain in dollars based on, again, the price and set off of the actual truck miles themselves. But here, that's a very small part of the supply chain that could create a lot bigger issue if it's not something that's addressed and then done properly by the right vendor, right? So imagine a truck that goes down a road that has a classification on weight, right? And then gets pulled over. Fines right now, minimum are $500 to $1,500. And all of our carrier partners know this. This is a game of pennies, right? And that $500 out of nowhere fine can be a real impact to the business, right? Or they go down a gravel road that's unexpected and all of a sudden they blow 2 tires. So maintenance costs, right? All of these little small things that you don't think about could have a really big impact to the supply chain. So we strive to be that best-in-class provider, most accurate routes, and obviously most up-to-date, and then in any format possible, whether it's through our app or through the API. Yeah, that's kind of what we're up to now.
And one mistake doesn't only have impact throughout the supply chain; it has direct impact toward the viability of companies. I mean, you mentioned it. We live in work in an industry of pennies, right? And so one mistake, whether it's going down the wrong road and blowing 2 tires, whether it's a fine or an inspection that doesn't go well, can mean not just dollars out of your pocket, but can make or break a business. And that's why when we talked about, bringing you on the show and talking, especially as we lead up to BCS, we want to focus in on partnerships and why partnerships are important. So talk to us about why partnerships are important and how you've benefited from your relationships and your partnerships throughout your career.
Yeah. So it's interesting enough that we have been around for as long as we have. But a lot of people don't remember that we do this side of the business or don't really put as much emphasis on this, because even though we could be a really impactful part of the supply chain, most of their procurement minds are focused around TMS acquisitions or procurement software, or these larger portions of digital innovation inside their company, aside from just mileage technology. So how we have to communicate to the prospective customers and obviously our current clients is through additional partners, right? Through integration partners, through TMSs, through, different types of technology that they're using on a day-to-day basis. So when I think about like our go-to-market strategy and how we're going to let more people know that Rand McNally is back, we've got this great mileage technology. There is a pretty common name in the space. We feel like we're a more competitive, less expensive solution, which obviously is another, big economical fact of the business itself. But it's hard for us to talk to these people on a day-to-day basis, right? I mean, email noise is crazy. So I started thinking about like building out this partner ecosystem. And if I'm attached to a TMS that they're already using right now, right, that's just going to increase my visibility and allow them to have the best possible solution inside their TMS. Now we think about like Google, right? Google's been around forever. I use Google Maps when I'm driving, somewhere that I've never been before, right? Google or Apple Maps. I think in the way that the driver base is right now, we've got this group of drivers that are in their, call it early 20s to lower 30s. And then we have a huge gap. And then we've got drivers that are in their 50s and 70s, right? And these guys are getting ready to come up on retirement age. Now, this group here knows Rand McNally. They know MileMaker. They know the importance of commercial mileage. They know all these risks that we talked about earlier. This group right here is very familiar with Google, right? I'm very familiar with pulling up my phone and saying, hey, how do I get there? So we've got to do a better job of connecting with companies that they're already using today to tell them, hey, here's the right way to do things, right? And here's a solution that, can be a positive impact to your business, can mitigate risk for your business, and obviously be a less expensive solution. So I started building out this partner ecosystem. One, from that aspect, but then two, if I look at like my current client base, right? I want to make sure that I'm having meaningful conversations with them. When we're in QBRs, when we're talking to them about new feature releases, the conversation shouldn't just be like, hey, here's how many service tickets you've done with us. Do you have any issues, right? It should be like, look, I'm looking at ways to improve supply chain. I'm looking at all of these other technologies and innovations that are out there. And I want to bring them to you through my partner group and say, hey, I found this optimization technology, or I found this cool procurement software, or I found this cool maintenance tool, right? Had you heard of these guys? Because I think people at the core, especially right now in the way the industry is, they want to know what exists, but nobody has the budget for it. And nobody wants to get involved in a sales cycle. I mean, their day-to-day job is already, 8 to 6 o'clock at night. And then imagine having a sales guy calling you 15 times just because you wanted to see what was out there. So I think being able to bring the value of company introductions without them having to get into a sales cycle, we've seen just tremendous success from our current clients. We're getting like 20% open rates on these emails that we're sending out. Like, hey, here's a partner spotlight on an audit software. 5 people raise their hand and say, hey, we're looking for audit tech, right? What that does is that shows that I'm more valuable than just a mileage solution. And that's, again, what I found the benefit in the partner ecosystem. And I know this is kind of long-winded, but part of the reason why I'm so excited about BCS, man, is about meeting these other companies that are got something new or got something that's solving a real problem, talking to them about, hey, here's my ICPs, my current customer base, my mix of carriers, brokers, and shippers, what they're looking for. Can you provide that value solution? And if so, right, let's work together, right? Let's do something together. Let's, create a video, create some dual marketing content. Let's get it out to them and see if I can help your business grow. And then in turn, maybe you help my business grow.
At the end of the day, people do business with people and friends do business with friends. I think a lot of times, especially in as transaction-based of an environment as freight can be, a lot of times that gets lost. And when we started the Broker Carriers Summit in the beginning, in the early days of it, one of the complaints around the industry was it's just a transactional business. Nobody's treated like a person. Everybody's a number. Everybody's disposable. Well, that was not always the case. And so taking that approach where you approach individuals like individuals is key. And not only does it restore a little bit of humanity, but it actually results in better business. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it right. At the end of the day, we're all going home to families. We all have social lives after this. And I think if I can do one thing to help them have a better day, ultimately, I'm going to get that back reciprocated in some form or another, right? I'm a huge karmic believer that if I can make an introduction, if I know somebody who's looking to get into another business and I know somebody there, like, why not send them an email? It takes me 2 seconds to do that. I don't expect anything in return, but most of the time, if I do something from them, I feel confident to reach out to say, hey, could you introduce me to this company, right? I think that's the way that I've always wanted to do business. I think that's the way that most people want to do business. I think there's a level of like, I don't call it scared, but hesitancy in that, which is why I love BCS so much. You're breaking down those barriers, right? You're saying, don't be hesitant. Don't be scared. Go talk to that stranger, right? Introduce yourself. Tap them on the shoulder. Say, hey, I want to know what you do. And most of these traditional conferences and traditional, atmospheres and gatherings that are built for this thing, there's those, group of people that are over there. And I feel reluctant to go over and say hi to them. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're going to, interact with me or not. Which again is why I love BCS so much and the environment that you guys have been cultivating.
Yeah, well, I know from being in sales for so many years, obviously cold calling is a practice, right? But talk to us about the difference between cold outreach, whether it's through cold calling, cold emailing, even following up on inbound leads, right? Talk to us about the difference between that process, that scenario versus actually sitting down with someone in person. What's the difference? What are the differences? What are the benefits? And what are the different challenges that you have?
Yeah, I think now especially AI automation is great. I think AI does a lot of great things for us. We can use it in our everyday life. It's definitely made my life a lot easier. But it has created a lot more challenges for sales teams, right? We used to be able to, email somebody with the hopes of getting some attention and saying, hey, this is who my business is. I want you to take a look at me. If I talked to a current client of mine the other day, I think he said on average he gets like 75 spam emails a day. They're just some sort of, hey, this is AI supply chain automation. We want to save you money. Come look at our business, right? And he doesn't even look at it. Like they just get deleted, right? Cold calling. So I come from the brokerage world. My start in the brokers, and this is 2008. This was kind of really before a lot of the internet was prevalent. It was. So I remember we had quota 110 calls a day that we had to make. And this is without an auto dialer, right? I mean, this was back, and I tell you, I made some of the best relationships just on the phone, just talking to people, because I think there's a different approach to it, right? I think just like we're in person, like if I sat down with you in person right across from you, right? I'm just not going to sit down and say, all right, this is who I do. This is my company. This is my business. This is my price. No, I'm going to say, hey, how are you? Like, talk to me about your day. What's going on? What's going on with the weather, right? It's that solution-based methodology that's built around, I want to learn more about what you do to see if I'm the fit, right? Versus let me just throw up what my company does and hope you want to buy it. And I think that when you're in person, that comes off a lot easier than it does on the phone. That's why it's so valuable for these events, because I think if you're there, you want to build a relationship, right? You want to meet new people, especially at the happy hours. Get a couple gin and tonics in you a little bit. The inhibitions get a little bit lower, and you start saying, you know what? Why not? Right? This is what I'm looking for. Tell me about what you guys do. Honestly, dude, if somebody called me right now and I didn't know the phone number, I'm not going to pick up. There's so many spam calls. It's impossible.
Absolutely. Half the calls I get on a daily basis on my personal phone and on the business phone are spam. And again, if I don't have the number in my system, it gets ignored, whether it's spam or not. I always tell people, if you want to get a hold of me, text me. And when you text me, if I don't have your number in my phone, tell me who you are, so that I don't automatically delete you and report your number as junk.
How many texts do you get that are just say, hey, do you have a second to chat? From some 786 area code, it's not safe.
Oh, it's crazy. That and the automated job offers. Hey, I saw your experience. You fit the profile.
Yeah.
That's.
But think about how bad that is, because maybe I want that, right? Like maybe I have a specific need for what they're selling right now. But just the path of communication is so bad that I'm going to immediately put a wall up and have zero interest in it, even though what they have could make my life better. Could solve the problem that I'm existing right now. Just the ingrainedness of this over communication and this badgering and this auto spanning stuff has just made it impossible for that to work.
It's also on socials, right? So the running joke on social media is if somebody wants to request you as a friend, and they immediately send you a message, like delete that friend or delete that connection. Like it's become so stigmatized, and I think. And we all know why it's a thing. I mean, it's sales sequences, it's task automation, it's all these different things. But you're not treating the people. If you do that, you're not treating the people who you're pursuing like people. You're treating them like machines. Like, oh, if we just reach out in this way with this cadence or with this whatever, then we're going to yield 40% open rates or whatever it might be. That's not how people work. That's not how we interact.
So spin this gap for what we're building with the partnerships, right? Now, if I work with this customer already, and in the course of my day-to-day interaction, I say, hey, look, I've identified a company based on what I know about you that could potentially help you. They're going to listen to that, right? That's how you need to sell right now, is you need to make sure that you're understanding what their business does. You're asking them the right questions. And when they identify a need, if you don't have that, you better have a partner that solves that problem for them. Because if they go out and find somebody else to solve that problem, and that person has a partner that does what you do, then all of a sudden your business is at risk, right?
Yeah. Well, and that emphasizes another part of partnerships. Another aspect of it is the network that you build, right? So I can't tell you how many in the last year alone, how many people have said, hey, you need to talk to so-and-so about this thing. And reply with, I don't know so-and-so, can you make an introduction? Right? And I would probably say the overwhelming majority of the time, I haven't tracked this because it's organic conversations, but the overwhelming majority of the time, the thing that we talk about happens. If we're in alignment on it, it does, because we approached it from a network perspective, from a community perspective, and that alliance or that partnership or that relationship is already established in some respect the first time we get on the call.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think about going back to the conference, right? I'm going to walk into Orlando. I'm going to see somebody I know. I'm going to say, hey, what's going on? They're going to be talking to somebody else. And they're going to say, oh, hey, do you know Mark? And I'm going to say, no. And I'm going to shake my hand, and then boom, brand new connection right there, because I built that relationship in the past. It's the exact same thing as the partner ecosystem.
Well, and that's the lifeblood of the BCS. And honestly, I think that should be the lifeblood of every conference. I think that's what business conferences should be. I think that's what trade shows should be in part. It's a little different if you go to a show that's booth heavy, right? That you're shopping for things. You're shopping for a piece of technology or a tool, right? But if you're going to a business conference to meet new partners, that's what you want. You want that natural, organic engagement from the attendees. Hey, my friend over here, you should meet this person because I was just talking to them and they have a solution to the problem that you were telling me about 2 hours ago. So here, discuss, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why people keep coming back to the BCS. I know that's why you keep coming back to the BCS, because you've told us. But we're coming up to the BCS. So BCS and beyond, what do you have going on for the rest of the year? Where does life take you?
Planning, right? Planning for 2026. It's crazy to say that.
Everybody I've talked to is saying that 2025 is going by extremely fast.
But I'm going to wake up and it's going to be Christmas,
Yeah. Thank you very much for breaking it down with us again. I look forward to seeing you here very shortly at the BCS in Orlando, Florida. You take care, and we'll see you soon.
Dan, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you. All right, well, that's our show for today, everyone. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in. Also, be sure to head over to brokercarriersummit.com to find out what's going on within the BCS Freight Network and to sign up for the next Broker Carrier Summit or an event near you.